Hey, Happy New Year.
You got that y'all down pretty good. I think it's all country girl kind of.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
I know it's cold outside. I don't want to be there for that. I don't know. I hate cold. I got
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners, January 11th, 2022, regular scheduled commission meeting. We'll begin with Commissioner David Brock leading the pledge, followed by Commissioner Truman Tinsley III leading the invocation. If you'll please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're here today to ask your blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just to the best interests of everyone. Help us overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. Pray in your name.
Amen. Thank you. In regards to the approval of the agenda, I'd like for us to consider moving item 40, which has to do with the variance from number 40 ahead to number 8. So any parties that are here for the public hearing and for that issue can be able to leave.
Agreed.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the agenda with that amendment. This is Murray with motion.
So second.
Second by Ms. Flowers.
Sorry.
All in favor, please signify by raise your hand. 6-0. First item tonight under special order business, appoint Mayor Holberg will appoint Mayor Pro Tem, and this year Vice Chairman will be Mayor Rodney McCord. With that being said, I want to thank Mr. Brock for your assistance and service this year, and move forward with Mr. McCord as Mayor Pro Tem this year. Under presentations and delegations, presentation of proclamation declaring January 9, 2022, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And I believe Chief Yates has a large contingent of officers, so if you would all please come forward. The men in blue.
Mayor, they're shy.
Oh, don't be shy. Come on, folks.
Not too shy.
We got a whole crew of them here tonight. So Sunday was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, so we have got a proclamation honoring our men and women in blue. So whereas across the country on January 9th, citizens take and lead, demonstrate support on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And whereas the law enforcement officers of every rank and file have chosen a profession that puts their lives on the line every day for their communities. The officers have answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated. On National Law Enforcement Day, the City of Griffin takes this opportunity to thank them for their service and offer them our respect. And whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was founded in 2015 to thank officers across the country for all the daily sacrifices they make for their communities. And whereas whether local, state, or federal officers, their duties command dedication. The jobs are often thankless and take them away from their families for long hours. Rarely do they know that their days have what they have in store for them. Often the officers are the only paid emergency resource the community has. More often they work in conditions that are with other local, state, and federal organizations and make our community safer. Whereas law enforcement officers play an integral part of our society. They are guardians of our way of life, and they deserve our support. Law enforcement officers show extreme bravery as they risk their lives on a daily basis in order to protect citizens, families, and businesses. And whereas the well-being of our community is preserved and enhanced as a direct result of the vigilance of law enforcement officers. And whereas recognizing that January 9, 2022 has been proclaimed Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, it is most fitting and proper that the citizens of the city of Griffin recognize all law enforcement officers for their effective, steadfast, and dedicated service to our community. Now therefore be resolved that the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim Sunday, January 9, 2022 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in the City of Griffin, Georgia, and urge all citizens to pause and reflect on the contributions of our law enforcement officers. We do hereby declare that a copy of this proclamation be spread upon the minutes of this board, reflecting that I have hereunto caused the seal of the City of Griffin to be affixed on this, the 11th day of January in the year of our Lord, 2022. Signed, Douglas S. Holberg, Mayor, Jessica W. O'Connor, City Manager. So on behalf of the citizens of the City of Griffin, we just want to tell you, thank you, each of you, for all you do for us. You are the men and women in the arena that have the blood, the sweat, the toil, and the sacrifice. And without you, we would not have what we have as a great community. So God bless each of you, and just want to present Chief this proclamation. If you have anything you'd like to say.
Sure, very quickly. I want to extend a personal thank you, and I think it's safe to say that I speak on behalf of the department. When other cities around this nation were dismantling their police departments, and when other cities were talking about defunding their police departments and things of that nature, you guys have supported us, this commission has supported us, and you've borne with us when it wasn't necessarily the popular thing to do. And I want to extend a personal thank you and express our gratitude for that, because it hadn't been easy for you guys either. So thank you for your continued support, and we appreciate it.
Oh, 1 second. Chief, go with this one. No, I got it. We're good. Good. Don't run away, Lieutenant Daniel Jett. At this time, we get to recognize Lieutenant Daniel Jett as December's strongest link in the chain award recipient. Chief Mike Yates will address.
I'll try to make this one brief too. He's done everything he possibly can to sneak out of here tonight, but we got him. I told him we were going to drag him in here if we had to. But one of Daniel's co-workers, Lieutenant Hayes, nominated him for the strongest link this month, and I think it's well deserved. As y'all know, the commission approved the purchase of a new police facility a year or so ago, and it's certainly not easy. It's a task to do all the construction, change everything, plan how we're going to move, do all that. Well, Lieutenant Jett took it upon himself to do all of that coordination, all that, meet with the contractors, plan things, and he's got a little bit of experience in construction, where I told him it would be a really bad idea for me to do that. So Daniel stepped up, and while he was doing it, he still did his day job every day like he was supposed to, in addition to that. So we wanted to recognize him, and I appreciate my co-boards recognizing Daniel's efforts, and we appreciate it. Do you have anything you'd like to say? I did share a very special picture of him on the internet.
It was nice. Thank you all for your service, and God bless you this new year.
Wait a minute,
Chief,
Daniel.
thank you for your leadership, and we can't wait for the ribbon cutting at the new police station in the near future.
Won't be long. We're
Amen. That's right.
halfway, maybe. Don't let him run off.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. That's it, all.
Yes.
Item 4 is review financial reports for November 2021. Chief Financial Officer Marcus Schwab will address. Happy day, sir.
Happy day. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. All right, as usual, we'll start off with the cash balance report. Any questions on that?
Strong, man.
Local option sales tax is moving along, as is the SPLOST program. And then any questions on the interim financials or anything? I do want to point out one thing, though, that came up today. We did have to make a correcting entry for hotel motel tax. It shows $40,000 in the fund, and we added another $16,000 to that, so we're at 56.
And all the enterprise fund accounts, they all seem to be above that normal.
Yes,
Doing good. You can't wait to see, I guess you had a big property tax check.
yes.
Excellent.
What did we add to the, you said we added, what's a hotel motel?
Another 16,000,
16, okay.
right, so it's 56.
Okay, perfect.
And you're running total on property tax right now? You have a ballpark?
I didn't look at that, I apologize.
No, that's fine, no problem.
I do know that we posted about a $354,000 check for within December. So there's another check that's coming due.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
Moving to citizens' comments. At this time, the mayor opens the floor for two comments from the audience. Comments should relate to specific agenda items not listed on the agenda for public hearing or to the concern and jurisdiction of the city. Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting city business and are not a forum for the unlimited expression of opinion. The mayor reserves the right to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for resolution. With that being said, is there anybody on my left side who'd like to come before the board? Anybody on my left? Is there anybody on my right side? Last call? Okay. Moving into public hearings. Public hearings are conducted to allow public comments on specific advertised issues such as rezoning, ordinances, policy development, operating budgets, and other legislative actions to be considered by the city commission. Item 5 is to receive comments regarding a variance request to increase the limit of the fence height for the fence in the front yard for the property located at 670 South Hill Street. Director of Developmental Planning and Development, Chad Jacobs, will address. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. So the applicant, Georgia Select Fence, has requested a variance to allow a 6-foot decorative fence to be constructed in the front yard portion of a residential dwelling. I must note that at this location on South Hill Street in the corner of Milner, this is 2 front yards since it's on a corner lot, just to be clear. Construction of the fence began in October of 2021, and that was done without a permit, and we issued a stop work order. Section 606B of the UDC does state that no fence located in a front yard shall exceed 4 feet in height above the ground level on property. In addition to the fence height requirement, which is what has specifically been applied for, it's come to our attention recently that there is a portion of the fence along Milner to the east of the property that has been installed, which is a 6-foot chain link fence, and that is also in violation of the fence ordinance, that would be under section 606A. In review of the application, staff is recommending denial. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, this agenda packet is a mess, so I'm gonna try to go back and forth. Okay, there is an image that shows new fence and existing fence. I don't know what page it is, 93, out of this whole agenda packet, but in, I guess it's part of the application, it's the Q Public. And I asked that because there was somewhere in here I read that the fence, can you hear me, the fence that was installed as it was to accommodate what was already there to match the existing fence?
So I think essentially what they're going for, there's a fence nearby that's of a similar design and height. It's kind of to the north of the property. So that's especially kind of what they're going for. Now, I don't know when that fence was installed. Staff is viewing that to be essentially as a grandfather fence, predating the current code requirement.
Okay,
So that's, for us, kind of a non-factor in what we're, in the
Right.
conclusion that we came to.
okay, second question is the code states the limitation on front yard fence. Is there a limitation for backyard or side yard fence?
So again, the 4-foot requirement is only for the front. In the rear and side portions, the fence shall not exceed, or the rear yard specifics shall not exceed 8 feet in height.
And then what about the side?
It actually just references front and rear, so we would also allow it to go to side as well, so 8 feet high.
Okay, so in theory, if there were nothing there, what should have happened would have, I guess and I didn't understand that a corner makes you have 2 front yards. It should have been 2 portions of the square by code should have been 4 feet, and then the other 2 portions of the square, other 2 axes, I guess, could have been up to 8 feet.
Yes, ma'am?
Okay, one more question. You said that there is chain link 6 feet. Is it part of this aluminum black fence, or is that like it?
It's an extension that goes to the east. So they ran the fence, 6 foot of the decorative fence,
Uh-huh.
and then when they got to the wood line, they kept running it in chain link to make the side and the back property.
Are you looking at this little picture?
I've seen everything.
No, I'm trying to ask a question specifically. Okay, so this is chain link, this blue portion,
The chain link is running.
but they've got that marked as the old existing fence.
This right there is,
That's,
this is the front yard.
uh-huh,
So right here is a chain link in this moving section. So they've got the decorative fence from this point here to here,
mhm.
and then they've got chain link from this point all the way back around to this point.
So
Okay,
essentially, it would be along Milner, there, where they've got it indicated in blue, that is, there's a portion of that that's chain link along.
And they've agreed to remove the chain link and go back and put the decorative fence to match.
okay, I was gonna say, what's the restriction regarding the chain link?
Chain link cannot be located in the front yard.
So they're.
In front yard at all?
Correct, cannot be located in the front yard.
So they're willing to remove chain
The
link,
front yard
that piece
portion?
of chain link and go back to the
Oh,
decorative.
honey, that's a mess, that's too much. Okay, those are my questions.
Hey, what is their plans for this property? Why are we playing fence?
So they've installed a pool, they pulled a permit, they're essentially rehabbing the house, going.
Rehabbing the house.
They've gone in the house, done some work on it, they've installed a pool,
Society or what?
It's a private person.
it's a private owner. So it's my understanding part of the concern with, obviously with the pool, you have to fence in the property. It has to be at minimum a 4-foot high fence, have a latching gate. That's for obvious liability concerns for the property owner, and insurance requires it as well.
But they want to go back with the decorative to match.
They would rather do the 6-foot decorative, yes, ma'am.
Where the chain link is, so. that-
On Milner.
On Milner, so
Do
they'll.
they have to give reasons for the want to do this? Or is it just to aggravate the situation?
Reasons in terms of applying for the variance, or reasons for removing the fence?
Reasons for both.
So the reason for applying for the variance, they have to establish a hardship that's indicated in Article 410, basically the
Could
standards
you read
for.
that, please?
So the standards for review, there have to be extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question due to its size and shape. The application of these regulations to this particular piece of property would create a practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship. Such conditions are peculiar to the piece of property involved. Relief, if granted, would not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purpose and intent of these regulations, provided, however, that no variance may be granted for a use of land or building or structure that's prohibited by this ordinance. And finally, a literal interpretation of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of any rights that others in the same district are allowed. Those are the 5 criteria that we have to base our recommendation on.
Just to feed 2 sentences that I thought that the neighbors in the area, the tract is a 4-acre tract. The
It is.
doctor's office right around the corner
It
has a 6-foot fence. We've got other places on the housing authority projects and other
The
places.
dogs are around what corner?
Dr. Gladys,
These
Yes.
places.
he's got, it's just north of it, half a
Okay.
block. So there's other,
And
and so in terms of the size of the parcel and the land, it doesn't look like it's this overwhelming. I mean,
No. And I concede it's very aesthetically pleasing, but what we have to go off on, what's codified right now, we don't, that's something that's not an option for us in terms of basing this recommendation. If this is, if it ends up being approved, I would recommend that we do look at considering if we're gonna go above 4 feet in height, tying that to decorative fencing and things of that nature, so that way we wouldn't have to go through these various processes in the future.
Are there any other questions from board members?
Not about this specifically, but about the fence as it just kind of relates to this. Is there any regard to the limitation for like topography on a parcel? Like what if your house is way at the top of the hill and then you put this little mini fence in the front that we don't have any consideration for that in the code?
We talking about changing the ordinance right now. I don't think that's the case. We're talking about all this.
We're not talking about changing the ordinance right
Something
now.
that's relative to this for my information, so allow me to ask my question.
Give the reason then, please.
She can ask.
There is, for a variance process, you can tie it to topography. So
Okay.
in that instance, there could be a consideration that's tied to that.
Okay,
So what you want to do be very careful of is actually establishing precedents, to where it becomes a slippery slope after a while. So naturally, as with all variances, you're going to take them all on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
And kind of look at the particulars of that piece of property and kind of what's being asked for.
right, I just asked, because this sits significantly far back from the road with some, okay. Sorry,
What's significantly mean to you?
thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing. Commissioners, any other comments? Is the applicant here, as far as you know? Is there anybody in the audience? This is a public hearing. Does anybody in the audience have a question or comment they'd like to make in regards to this matter? Thank you very much. Moving into consent agenda, we've got items 6 and 7. Do we have a motion to take those items as in one vote? Motion with Mrs. Murray, second by Mr. Brock. All in favor of items 6 and 7, please raise your hand. Support. It's like sign 6-0. Moving into the regular scheduled agenda, moving item 40, before item 8, consider a variance request to increase the fence height requirement for the fence in the front yard for property located at 670 South Hill Street, as well as not allow any chain link fence on either of the road frontages. We have a motion to approve. We've got a motion from Ms. Murray to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Ward. All in favor of allowing the variance for those conditions, please raise your hand. All against? Mr. Brock, you voting for or against?
Yes.
5-1 with Mr. Brock voting against. All right. All right, moving into item 8. That's the fun part. Consider a resolution making appointment of the office of judge in municipal court and approving compensation for said position. Before we start going resolutions, we got to have a motion, a second, and then a vote. For nominations, when we get to that point, nominate. I need a second. If there's only one nomination for a particular seat, then we'll approve it by acclamation and move forward. Does that sound good? So consider resolution making the appointment of officer of judge municipal court and approving compensation of said position. This is for Griffin E. Trey Howell III. We have a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve, sir.
Mr. Brock with a motion, Mrs. Murray with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. 9, consider resolution affirming the appointment of Associate Municipal Court Judge Lisa Reeves by Municipal Court Judge Trey Griffin Howell III and approving the compensation of such position.
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Murray with a motion, second by Mr. Brock. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 10, consider resolution making appointment of office of municipal court solicitor and municipal court assistant solicitor, as well as approving compensation for said parties. We've got three nominations, Mr. Tommy Eisen, Ms. Virginia Shepherd Church, and Mr. Tom Kirkbride. We have nominations for solicitor. I'd like to make, go ahead.
I'll nominate Tommy.
Okay, we got a motion for Tommy Eisen. We have our nomination for Tommy Eisen. Do we have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Virginia Church.
We have a nomination of Miss Virginia Church. Do we have any nominations? We have,
Motion nominations to be closed session.
we have a motion for Mr. Brock to close nominations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tinsley. Okay, we're taking an order of the nominations. All in favor of Mr. Tommy Eisen, if you please signal by raising your hand. And all those in favor of Miss Virginia Church, please raise your hand. So we have a 4-2 with Mr. Brock and Mrs. Murray voting for Miss Virginia Church, and the other 4 are voting for Mr. Eisen. Did you get that, Ms. Bartholomew? Good, okay. And then Ms. O'Connor, in terms of municipal court assistant solicitor.
Sorry, I'm back here today.
I know you are.
You can either table that resolution if you'd like to ask Ms. Church if she would like to sit as the assistant solicitor. You can ask Mr. Eisen his opinion after tonight since he's now named solicitor. It's sort of up to you at this point. In the past, we have not had an assistant solicitor until we had Scott Mayfield's office. Smith, Welch, Webb, and White were sort of as that office, the solicitors, and so he was named as the solicitor and Elizabeth O'Neill was named as assistant, and they sort of worked that out amongst themselves. This is a little bit different scenario. So however you would like to handle that, you can either do that now, or you can table it and come back at the next meeting and appoint and make sure that one of those other two would prefer an assistant solicitor position.
I need to make a motion to table.
You like making a motion to table? Mrs. Ward made a motion to table. Assistant, second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor of tabling the assistant solicitor position, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0 on the tabling. Item 11, consider a resolution to appoint staff attorney Kelsey H. Carden, assistant municipal court solicitor for code enforcement and nuisance. The motion, Mrs. Murray with a motion, Mrs. Ward with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. And for all those that, Mr. Eisen's right there if he wants to wave his hands. And then Ms. Kelsey, are you here tonight? There's Ms. Kelsey. Congratulations. Our new prosecuting team. Consider a resolution making appointment to the Office of Municipal Court Clerk and approving compensation for said position. And Ms. Melissa Brock is currently our clerk. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution for Ms. Melissa Brock? Mr. Tinsley with a motion, Mrs. Murray with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. And Ms. Brock, if you want to wave your hand, congratulations and thank you for your due diligence and hard work. Item 13, consider a resolution making appointment of the City Office of the City Attorney, approve compensation for said position for Andrew Wellen III. Do we have a motion to approve? Ms. Murray with a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tinsley with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 14 is consider resolution making appointment of the Office of Municipal Register and approving compensation for said position for Mrs. Susan Bartholomew. We have a motion to approve.
So motion approved.
Mr. Tinsley with a motion, Mr. Brock with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 15 is consider resolution appointing Susan Bartholomew, Executive Secretary to the City Manager, as Assistant Secretary to the Commission. So, motion by Mr. Tinsley, second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 16, Commissioners to appoint one member to the Griffin Spalding County Development Authority for the 3-year term set to expire 12/31/24 to succeed Diota Mead, whose term expired 12/31/21. We have two names in the book, Mr. Terrell Jacobs and Mr. Kendrick Jones. Take any nominations at this time.
Nominate Jacobs.
We got a nomination for Mr. Jacobs. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close.
Mrs. Ward with a motion to close, and Mr. Brock with a second. All in favor of closing nominations and affirming Terrell Jacobs as the Appointment to Development Authority, please signal by raise your hand. 6-0. Item 17, Commissioners to appoint one member of Griffin Spalding County Hospital Authority for the 4-year term set to expire 12/31/25 to succeed Brian Upson, whose term is 12/31/21. We have Brian Upson and Kimberly registered in the book. Do we have a motion, nomination? A motion or a nomination of Brian Upson?
Second.
Do we have any other nominations? Do we have a motion to close nominations? Mrs. Murray with a motion to close nominations. We have a second. Mrs. Ward with a second. All in favor of closing nominations, affirming Brian Upson for the Griffin Spalding County Hospital Authority, please signal by raise your hand. 7-0 with Mr. McCord. Mayor Pro Tem, congratulations.
Me? First, I want to thank my mom.
Hey, we've been moving good here now.
Right.
Thanks.
Item 18, Commissioners to appoint 2 board members to fill the vacancies in the Griffin Environmental Council. There are 2 3-year terms set to expire 12/31 to succeed Alexander Hope and Hannah Hope, whose term expires 12/31/21. We have Kendrick Jones, Alexander Hope, Nadi Akuda, and Carla Rapp.
Nominate Carla Rapp.
We got Ms. Carla Rapp. I'd like to nominate Alexander Hope,
Nominate Mr. Akuda.
Mr. Akuda. Okay. So would y'all like to just take her position and go with it that way? Is that?
So we do it.
Sounds good?
Which,
So we'll take Alexander Hope's position first. So we've got a nomination of Rapp, Hope, and Akuda.
what I would suggest.
Yes, sir.
What I suggest we do, we take them each back. We're gonna do Alexander Hope first, and we make nominations for his position, and then we'll do whoever the other one is for that position.
Okay.
Makes
So
sense.
that'd be fine. Okay, so let's hunt and start back over again. So for the position of Alexander Hope,
I know, well, whoever you want.
would you like to make a nomination?
Nominate Alexander Hope.
Do we have any other nominations for Alexander Hope's position? We have a motion to close nominations for Alexander Hope's
Make a
position.
motion that we close the nomination.
We have Mr. McCord made a motion to close, second by Ms. Murray. All in favor of closing nominations on Alexander Hope and affirming Alexander Hope for the Environmental Council, please affirm by raising your hand in favor. 7-0. Okay, taking Hannah Hope's position, taking nominations to fill her term, or fill the new term.
I'd like to nominate Carla Rapp.
Got a nomination of Carla Rapp. Do we have another nomination?
Mr. Akuda.
We have a nomination from Mr. Kuda. Do we have a motion to close nominations? Motion by Ms. Murray for closed nominations. Mr. McCord with a second. All in favor of closing nominations, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. And we'll take these in order of nomination. All those in favor of Carla Rapp, please signal by raising your hand. We'll go to all in favor of Akuda, or Nadia Akuda, please signal by raising your hand. It's 4-3, Brock, Holbert, Tinsley, Murray for Carla Rapp, and Cord, Flowers, and Ward on Akuda. Moving to item 19, Commissioners appoint one member of the Historic Preservation Commission for a regular 3-year appointment set to expire 12/31/24 to succeed Charles Penny. We have one name in the book, Charles Penny. We have a motion to, or nomination.
I have a nomination for Charles Penny.
Do we have a motion to close nominations?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tinsley, second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor to affirm Charles Penny closing nominations for Historic Preservation Commission, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Moving into item 20, Commissioners to appoint 2 members to the Griffin Spalding Housing Authority. One, for a 5-year business representative term to expire 12/31/26 to succeed Harvey Pilkington, whose term expired 12/31/21, and one for a 1-year appointment for resident appointment set to expire 12/31/22 to succeed Gloria Pine, whose term expired 12/31/21. So we've got nomination for Harvey Pilkington, and we have a nomination for Gloria Pine. Pleasure of the board.
I'll nominate her.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Tinsley for Harvey Pilkington as the business representative. We have a motion to close nominations. Motion by Mrs. Murray, second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor of closing nomination and affirming Harvey Pilkington, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. And the nominations for Gloria Pine for resident appointee. Do we have a motion or nominee? Ms. Pine? Mrs. Murray makes a motion for Mrs. Pine. We have a motion to close nominations and affirm appointment of Ms. Pine for president appointment. Motion by Mr. Tinsley,
Second.
second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor of Gloria, closing nominations and affirming Gloria Pine, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0 for Mrs. Pine. Item 21, appoint one member of the Griffin Spalding Airport Authority, place 8 for a 6-year term to succeed Blake Locke, whose term expires 12/31. We have Joseph Reheiser, Sanquez Jester, and Blake Locke. And I'd like to nominate Blake Locke for the Airport Authority. Do we have any other nominations?
I'm trying to find it again.
I nominate Sanquez Jester.
Mrs. Ward, Sanquez Jester, okay.
That's it.
Item 21.
Motion to close nominations.
Second.
A motion to close nomination by Mrs. Flowers, second by Mrs. Murray. We're going to take a vote. All in favor of closing nominations, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. So we've got Blake Locke and Sanquez Jester. So all in favor of Blake Locke, please signal by raising your hand. And all for Ms. Sanquez Jester, please raise your hand.
Mr.
Mr. I'm sorry. So 4-3, Holberg, Brock, Tinsley, and Murray on Locke, Ford, Flowers, and Ward on Jester. Moving to commissioners to appoint 3 members of the Griffin Main Street Advisory Board, 1 business property owner, downtown area for a 3-year term to succeed Marcia Collins, whose term expires 12/31/21. 1 architect contract for a 3-year appointment term to succeed Paul Cropsey, whose term expired 12/31/21, and 1 neighborhood district resident for the 3-year term to succeed Diamond Mean, whose term expired. So we take Marcia Collins spot first. Just to give you clarification, we've got 3 people in the book: Paul Cropsey, who's architect; John Joyner, business owner; and Morgan Meeks, resident and/or business owner. So we take Marcia Collins. We have nominations for Marcia Collins' position on
Is
the
she in
Main
the
Street.
book?
She is not. She has sold her business.
Nominate Morgan Meeks.
Okay. And she'd be the resident.
Oh, she's the resident. I'm sorry.
So John Joyner.
I'll nominate John Joyner.
So nominate John Joyner by Mr. Tinsley.
Who was on? What's in there?
That's the only, I mean, you've got 3 positions, you've got 3 people. You've got business owner position, which John Joyner,
Paul Cropsey, was he following?
he falls in the architect.
So we only have 3.
Three positions.
Okay. We can just go ahead and, go through it. I'm sorry.
So Morgan Meeks could be either business owner or resident. She's the only resident of the 3 nominees.
That's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion to close nominations for business owner. That was Ms. Murray, second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor of closing nominations and acclamation approving John Joyner for business owner, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0.
I didn't.
Oh, okay. And against Ms. Ward. So 6-1, Ms. Ward voting against. Moving into the Architect contractor, do we have nominations for Paul Cropsey's spot?
I'll make a nomination.
The nomination is
Paul Cropsey.
Paul Cropsey. Okay, Cropsey.
Second.
Do we have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Mr. Tinsley with a motion, second by Ms. Murray. All in favor, please signal closing nomination and confirming Paul Cropsey as the architect. Signal by raising your hand. 7-0. And then resident, neighborhood district resident for 3-year terms, Zito to mean. Do we have nominations?
Nominate.
That is
I'm sorry, for Dottie.
Morgan
Morgan.
Meeks.
Yeah, sorry.
So Mrs. Murray nominates Morgan. We have a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Motion to close nomination by Mr. Tinsley, second by Mrs. Ward. All in favor of closing nominations and affirming Mrs. Morgan Meeks as the resident appointment, raising your hand. 7-0. Item 23, commissioners appoint one citizen non-public member to the Three Rivers Regional Commission Board to director of 1-year term set to expire 12/31/22 to succeed Matthew Middleton, whose term expired 12/31/22. And this is a joint city-county appointment. It switches back and forth each year. The name of the book we've got interest is David Johnson. Do we have any nominations?
Nominate David Johnson.
Ms. Murray makes a motion to nominate David Johnson. We have a motion.
Close nominations.
Mr. Tinsley made a motion to close nominations. We have a second. Second by Ms. Murray. All in favor of closing nominations, appointing David Johnson to the Three Rivers Board, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 24, commissioners appoint 2 at-large members to the Griffin Spalding Area Transportation Committee. Annual appointment expires 12/31/22 to succeed Kirby Sisk and John Scruggs, whose terms expires 12/31/21. We've got in book Kirby Sisk and Dr. Bruce Reed. So we'll take Kirby Sisk first. We have nominations for the seat of Kirby Sisk.
I'll make a nomination for Kirby.
Mrs. Murray with a motion.
Second.
We have a motion to close nominations. So moved by Mr. Tinsley, second by Ms. Murray. All in favor of Kirby Sisk for the spot of Kirby Sisk for the Transportation Committee, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. And then for the other position, we've got Dr. Bruce Reed. Do we have nominations?
I'll nominate Dr. Reed.
Dr. Bruce Reed by Ms. Murray. Mrs. Ward made a motion to close nominations. Do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor of closing nominations, affirm Dr. Reed for the appointment of the Griffin Spalding Area Transportation Committee, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Next one. We've got also 24th, we've got department head appointments that we need to handle on transportation. And that includes Chris Walker, Homer Daniel, represent the police department, John Hamilton, represent the police department, and transportation.
Opposition.
Ms. O'Connor by position. There's one more, try.
Chief Hamilton was for the fire department.
Yes,
That's the 4.
Hamilton. Okay, so we're good to go. So we got Hamilton, Daniels, O'Connor, and Walker. We have nominations of those. Everyone good to go?
Yes.
The motion to close nominations for those 4 being nominated.
I make a motion.
Mrs. Murray makes a motion to close nominations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Rock. All in favor, confirming those 4 positions, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 12, commissioners appoint 7 members, mayor, and District 6 to all city board of ethics per ordinance and code of city of Griffin. So we'll take it District 1 through mayor. Or I'll go ahead, Steve Crouch, I'm reappointing for for my seat, my appointment. District 1,
Oscar Jordan.
Oscar Jordan.
Yes.
Okay. District 2,
Christopher Ray.
Christopher Ray, District 2. District 3,
Lee Hampshire.
Lee Hatcher, District 3. District 4, You have Joanne Todd. Joanne Todd for Ethics Board District 4, District 5.
Bill Thumb.
Bill Thelman, District 6.
Is it Rebecca?
Betsel, yes, sir. Good to go?
Same,
Okay.
yes. Rebecca Bessel for the record.
Okay. Moving on to commission to appoint 2 members, employee participants to retiree, retiree participant to the city's pension committee for 1-year terms set to expire. Staff recommends,
Mayor, you skipped planning and zoning.
I'm sorry, I skipped what?
Planning and zoning, 26.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioners appoint members to district and planning and zoning board for 4 district representatives for 1 for District 2, set to expire 12/31/22, and 1 each for District 3, 4, and 6, set to expire 12/31/24. See David Castile, Joanne Todd, and Rebecca Betzel, District 2, currently is vacant. So, Ms. Flowers, do you have an appointment for District 2?
Matilda Dukes,
Matilda?
but Effie. I'll provide contact
Okay.
information tomorrow.
Okay. Matilda Dukes for District 2. District 3,
I would like to nominate Kenneth Moore.
Kenneth Moore is appointed for District 3. District 4, Mr. Rock.
Nobody,
Yeah.
nobody,
Nobody for that appointment?
nobody,
Okay,
no request for it.
okay. District 6,
Is it Rebecca?
yes, sir.
For the record, Rebecca Bessel.
Say again,
Rebecca Benson.
Rebecca Bessel.
Moving to item 27, commissioners to appoint 2 members, employee participants, retire participant to the city pension committee for 1-year terms expire 12/31/22. Susan Bartholomew representing active employees and Teresa Watson representing retirees. Do we have motion or nominations of those 2?
Nomination for both.
Nomination by Mrs. Murray for both. Do we have a motion to close nominations? Mr. Tinsley with a motion, Mr. Brock with a second. All in favor of closing nominations and approving by acclamation, by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 28, commissioners to appoint 2 commissioners to the Griffin Spalding Area Transportation Committee for annual terms expire 12/31/22 to succeed to Commissioner Tinsley and Commissioner David Brock, who terms expire 12/31/22. It's my understanding both want to continue serving. So I'd like to nominate Commissioner Tinsley and Commissioner Brock.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the nominations.
We have a motion to close nominations by Mr. McCord, second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor of closing nominations, approving Truman Tinsley and David Brock, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Commissioners appoint ex officio non-voting commissioner to the Griffin Spalding Hospital Authority for an annual term set to expire 12/31/22. Mr. Brock, you continue serving on that board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion? I'd like to nominate Mr. Block.
You don't, you're just appointing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
don't have to do
Thank
that.
you. It says commissioners to appoint.
Yes, but you don't have to, I don't think you have to do a motion second to close.
All right, so
Don't change.
we're good to appoint Mr. Brock, everybody? Good to go. Commissioner to appoint Commissioner of the Griffin Downtown Council for an annual term to expire 12/31 to succeed Mayor Doug Holberg. And would love to continue serving on that board.
Got it.
Okay. Gotta keep having fun stuff. Commissioners, item 31, commissioners to appoint 1 commissioner to R2 Executive Committee for 1-year term to expire 12/31 to succeed Mayor Doug Holberg, whose term expires 12/31/21. And again, they're every week, so we're good to go.
All right.
Commissioners to appoint commissioner to the Griffin Housing Authority for an annual appointment to an ex officio member for the term expiring 12/31/22 to succeed Commissioner Ward. And Ms. Ward, I'm sure you'd like to continue serving in that capacity?
Yes.
Okay. We're all good to go on Ms. Ward? Okay. Item 31, approve Commissioner Liaison to the Spalding County Collaborative Authority for 1-year term to succeed Commissioner Flowers, whose term expires. And Ms. Flowers has indicated she would like to continue serving there. So everybody good to go on that? Okay. And appoint the city law enforcement member to the Griffin, or to the Spalding County Collaborative Authority for Families and Children's Services. City law enforcement member will be a 1-year term set to expire
12/31/22 succeed Chief Mike Yates. And Mike Yates wants to continue serving in that capacity, so everybody good on that? Okay, Mike Yates. Item 35, appoint mayor designated Griffin Spalding Development Authority for an annual term to expire 12/31. And I'm going to reappoint Commissioner Cora Flowers to the Development Authority. Appoint mayor only, so I'll be on the Workforce Investment Board. I'll be on Main Street Board, and appoint mayor designate. I'll be on the Chamber Board. And item 39, consider minutes of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting, December 14th, 21. Mr. Murray was absent, so Mr. McCord makes a motion, second by Mr. Tinsley. All in favor of the minutes of the December 14th meeting, please raise your hand. And then we got 6-0 with Mrs. Murray abstaining. We've already handled number 40.
What do we do on that?
We ended up approved with removing the chain link on the side of Milner and allowing them to keep the 6 foot, and continue the decorative fencing, the 6 foot up.
Thank you.
Item 41, consider resolution per section 2/190 emergency procurement of the City of Griffin of ordinances to ratify the purchase of 2 2,500 kVA transformers from JCL Energy single source in the amount of $99,990. Mrs. Ward with a motion, second by Mrs. Murray. All in favor of the acquisition, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 42 is consider resolution for loan modification for the GFA loan DW 2220-1902 for the Still Branch Water Treatment Plant for the backup emergency power supply for the Watershed Management Department. Mrs. Ward with a motion, second by Mr. Murray. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 43, consider resolution authorizing the City of Griffin to approve and execute the 4th Amendment of the MEAG Telecom Project, authorizing the telecom project to terminate and redistribute funds to City of Griffin. Consider written consent of the members of the Georgia Public Web, Inc. for Georgia Public Web to sell its assets to Mercury Newco LLC. Consider consent to assignment of contracts to allow Mercury to assume the services of all existing contractors in the City of Griffin for Georgia Public Works. Motion approved. Mrs. Murray with a motion. Do we have a second? Dennis Ward with a second. All right, any discussion? All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Item 44 is consider a home rule ordinance adopting 6 districts in the City of Griffin based on the 2020 U.S. Decennial Census. City Attorney Drew Whalen will address.
Second.
Do you need to make any comments first, Mr. Whalen?
Yes, you've already made the motion second, but if I can just briefly explain.
So Mr. Whalen made a motion, Mrs. Murray second. Go
At
ahead.
the last meeting of 2021, the board selected what we referred to as scenario 1, which was prepared by Flow Analytics. And I think Kate Dorian is on.
Yes, I'm here.
Brian's also here with us tonight. After we started putting the actual ordinance, the home rule ordinance together, scenario 1, we had 3 areas that were somewhat in conflict because you had 2 annexations after the 2020 census map was prepared. One was the Pilkington tract, which has apartments, is to have apartments built on it. On the west side of town, the other was the Pate property, which joins the new airport property on the east side. Neither of those had any population, so they have no effect on this. The third area, though, was an area right in the middle of the city, basically, and it involved a change in the census blocks and tracts, where they differed from the 2010 map to the 2020 map. And the census map for 2020 came down the creek that runs down through the Rushton Mills property. What that had the effect of doing was splitting 3 tracks, or actual ownership tracks, where they had more than one structure on the track. And it put those structures on one side of the creek or the other side of the creek in two different districts. So in order to try to clarify this and to make it follow the standards that you adopted for the redistricting, we've gone back and taken the block from Lake Avenue. It's bordered by Lake Avenue on the north, and it's 17th Street on the east, 18th Street on the west, out of District 1, placed it into District 5, which slightly alters the deviation. Scenario 1, as you recall, had a deviation of 4.1%, and this will up that deviation to roughly 7%. It's about 74 people were affected. But it seemed like the logical way to handle this to resolve the conflict. The map that Jessica's passing out to you now, the top page is your current map, showing you where District 5. The bottom page is the way we resolve this for the purposes of this ordinance. So that one block really is bordered on north of Lake Avenue on the east by 17th Street.
Are there any questions of Mr. Whalen? And even though it's not officially a public hearing, but I've been advised to see if there's anybody in the audience that would like to make a statement or question in regards to the redistricting maps that we're about to vote on. Does the board have any other comments? Okay. We have a motion from Mr. McCord, a second by Mrs. Murray. In regards to the redistricting, all in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 7-0. Thank you, Drew. And thank you, Flo Analytics.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item 46. I need to abstain since I.
45.
I'm sorry. Consider a claim by Lisa Vice, Anthony Boardman, and Corey Moore for personal injuries allegedly resulting from a contact with a member of the Griffin Police Department, Spalding County Sheriff's Department on August 1, 2021, as set forth in the anti-line notice from Eisenberg and PC Attorneys at Law, received December 13, 2021. Claim alleges First, Fourth, and Fifth, 14th Amendment U.S. Constitution violations resulting from alleged illegal stop detention on August 1, 2021.
Motion to deny the claim.
A motion to deny by Mrs. Murray. Do we have a second? By Mrs. Ward, a second. All in favor of denying the claim, please signal by raise your hand. All against, like sign. 6-1 with Mr. McCord voting against the denial. Moving to 46, I have a potential business relationship with gentleman involved in this, so I'm going to turn this over to Mr. McCord to take over number 46.
Item number 46, lift from the table and consider a memorandum of understanding with Georgia Interlocal Risk Management Agency, GERMA, to resolve a claim presented by Mr. Lewis Thacker, owner of property located at 113 East Solomon Street, Griffin, Georgia, parcel number 013-340088, for damage sustained to his property due to issues with a common wall owned by the city of Griffin on property located at 111 East Solomon Street, Griffin, Georgia, parcel number 013-34008. City Manager Jessica O'Connor will address.
Just to refresh your memory, we have discussed this a couple of times now in executive session because it is potential litigation depending on how we decide to resolve this claim. GERMA is willing to take on the work to the interior of the property that Mr. Thacker owns. That is covered under our premises liability. So they are able to do that work, and we'll do that with Parker Young, who is a contractor that they use. Unfortunately, the Imperial Theater wall was not listed in our schedule of assets with GERMA, so they are not able to cover the exterior part of the wall. What that leaves us with is our own decision as to who we employ to do the work on the exterior of the wall. And because it is over $100,000, in typical situations, we would have to bid out that work because of the Public Works construction contract that it is. However, what I have added to this agenda item from the last time that we did look at this is an email from Mr. Westbury, who is the Property and Liability Claims Manager with GERMA. And he came and spoke with you at our last executive session. And what he is now telling us is that if we aren't going to use Parker Young, there is a possibility that in the future, they will not insure any damage to either the interior or the exterior. So in any other circumstance, we could probably bid this out and just use whoever was the lowest bidder. In this case, you're not going to compare apples to apples if you did that, because you're also going to have to make a judgment decision on whether or not it's worth being able to bid it out if it's not going to be insured again. So this claim is $100,000. The next claim could be more than that, and the insurance is not going to pay for it, even if we add this property to our schedule of assets, because we're not using a contractor that they would use. So unfortunately, I would love to be transparent and say, hey, we're going to bid this out to everybody and let everybody bid on it, but you're not going to be able to insure it in the future. So our staff recommendation is to go ahead and move forward with the MOU, approve that with GERMA, allow them to contract with Parker Young to do both the interior and exterior work, so we can ensure that both of those jobs will be insured in the future. You may have any questions.
Any questions or comments, ma'am?
I'm making a motion to lift it from the table or to?
Yes, and vote.
Okay, so
We want to go ahead and make a motion to lift from the table.
I make that motion.
Got a motion and second to lift from the table. All in favor, please raise your hand. Yeah. Great. Vote for
Who seconded the motion to lift?
Tinsley.
Mr. Tinsley. Are you voting to lift from the table, Mr. Brock?
I'm really not sure what I want to do. I hear it from one ear, from here, from another ear. And, we bought an insurance policy, I think we go with it, and I think we should go with it too.
But this is just a lift from the table so that we can vote on it. Are you lifting from the table?
I'll do that.
Okay, 6-0, 1 abstention. Now, can I entertain a motion to consider, against the vote?
I'd like to make a motion to go with staff recommendation.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor, signify by raising your hand. All right, and all opposed?
Okay, that fails then, which means we will have to bid out the work. So it will not be insured in the future. Okay, I will let Mr. Westby know.
Thank you, Mr. McCord. All right, we made it through the night, right at an hour. So city manager's report.
Just very briefly, I did want to say a special thank you to our police department and law enforcement agencies within our community, both Griffin PD, the sheriff's office, our federal agencies that are here, and our Georgia State Patrol. It's very rewarding to get to work with them on a daily basis and sort of learning about more that they do and putting their lives on the line every day. I think it's nice that y'all are willing to reward them and recognize them for that today. And again, a special thank you to Lieutenant Jett for all the work he has done getting the PD sort of ready to move. They took me through that building yesterday, and it really does look very nice and is a huge improvement from where they are currently. So I'm excited to see them permanently there. Also wanted to let you all know, for those that did not participate, we had a downtown trash and parking meeting yesterday. Not my favorite thing to discuss, but I will say I do feel like it was the most successful discussion that we've had in that regard in a very long time. We have a consensus from those that attended that we will be removing carts from downtown. We will be placing dumpsters downtown. Where those locations will be and how exactly that will work is something we're figuring out. But we do believe that the carts are creating part of the problem and having some centralized dumpster locations with nice dumpster enclosures that can be locked potentially so that only those that are paying for the use can use it. Is something that we need to move forward. And parking, of course, was just sort of reiterated that the business owners might be a good idea to self-police and tell their fellow business owners not to park on the streets. I reiterated to our employees yesterday that they are not to park on the streets if they are coming here to visit City Hall, going to the courthouse. Of course, if they're patronizing slices,
and they're, in their PD car. I don't have a problem with them pulling in front of Slices and parking there for lunch. They need to be close to their car, but if they're here to visit here or somewhere else downtown where they're gonna be for a while, they don't need to be taking up street parking. So that meeting went successfully, and you will see some notices going out in that regard soon. Also just wanted to mention that I'm very excited that the appointments of our solicitors, I think Mr. Ison will do an excellent job. And then Ms. Cardin, in sort of relation to how we have adopted our community-wide strategic plan with a huge emphasis on code enforcement, I think it will be very helpful for her to be able to discuss with staff on a day-to-day basis and not just be a Thursday type job to help them with their cases ahead of time and then get down here and really be able to advocate for what the city needs in that regard. I hope to see a big change in how we present our code enforcement cases and sort of what that relationship will look like when we drive around in our city. So I thought that was a big deal tonight, and I appreciate your participation in that. And that's it for me. I apologize for my voice. I'm a little under the weather.
Mr. Whalen?
Just very briefly, even though we just read the first reading of the home rule ordinance tonight, the second will be at your next meeting, which will be final, and then we'll file it with the Secretary of State. But I want to thank you for the process that you have followed. I think it's been a very successful process. I think we've come up with a good work product, and I think it will serve you well over this next decade until the 2030 census is taken. And other than that, I'm just going to say, go Dogs!
Mr. McCord?
First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone has a safe and prosperous New Year. Got the teen holiday coming up on the 17th, and hopefully everyone can get out and celebrate that. On the record to show that, say congratulations to the University of Georgia football team on the 2021 National Championship, win CFP National Championship. Record show that, please. And I think it was something else, and I can get on, I forget. Want to thank Mr. Holberg for the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem to serve alongside him in his absence. He already put me to work tonight. Hopefully, now I heard Ms. O'Connor was talking about the situation with Gurman. Now, we should bid this out, and Parker receives the bid, but they still only mad at us for not wanting to be transparent.
The problem at this point is because it has gone on for so long, they may not be willing to ensure that the damage that has occurred between the time that the claim was filed and what has since occurred because we didn't do it timely. We haven't approved it. So potentially, yes, they will not insure it.
So Mr. Thacker continues to complain as recently as yesterday.
Thank you.
Ms. Murray?
Happy New Year, everyone. It was a lonely several weeks for holiday because I really have withdrawals from meeting up here with you all, seriously. And I never had a chance to thank all of our staff. Thank you, everyone, to all of our departments for keeping the city beautiful, safe, all the city services for keeping those running. And let us not look back on 2021 except for some of the good things that came out of it. Let's push forward. And I think that Griffin, we are resilient. We have been successful. We are strong. And I look forward to serving another 4 years with my family of a board here, with our staff. Thank you for those who put me here. I'm honored, and tonight taking oath again. It's a very exciting time of my life, and I just look for the future for Griffin. I think we're going to have some amazing things come out of this board this year, and I just want to say thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to our board.
Ms. Flowers?
No comment.
Mrs. Ward? No. Mr. Vincent? Mr. Brock?
A couple of things. First of all, I thank the city of Griffin and the staff of the city of Griffin and Jessica and her group have done one great job during a pandemic year, what we've got going, and how we kept it. And really and truly, as a business should be ran. And I say hooray to Jessica and the whole group. And as far as the rest of this country goes and this Griffin city grows, yes, we got a challenge. Gosh, we got a challenge. what are we gonna do without being together as a group? Knowing what each and every one of us feel and what we can do, and what may not happen if we don't do it together. So I just thank the good Lord that we've got the group of people that we have tonight. We've got a man that's done a heck of a good job during a hard time. We've got a city manager, which I am not surprised with. I've known that little girl for a long, long time. She does one heck of a job. That's saying the right word. So thank you, Jessica, and thank you for everything we do. And let's keep doing it, let's keep doing it, and let's keep going. Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of boards. Chairman Chance is here with environmental health. You should have gotten a little packet of their accomplishments for this year, as well as a new logo. So thank you for what your team is doing, and look forward to participating with you in the future. And then GSBTA has also provided a report in terms of what they've accomplished. So even though we're doing here together, you've got all the committees that we're involved with and working, and a lot of great things are happening. So I'm very optimistic looking at the new year. I'm getting multiple contacts a week from outside investors and people that are looking for big projects and big opportunities in Griffin. So let's get ready for some public hearings and some great investment opportunities. It's really the best place it can be to live, work, live, and play, and retire. Right, Dr. Geller? One day. To our citizens and our employees that joined us tonight, thank you all for being a part of this evening. Sorry we ran a little late. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good job.
Then make a motion to adjourn. Mr. Tinsley, second by Mr. Brock. All rise and leave.